Welcome to our Behind the Mic with MAB podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Fontaine. Join me as I chat with vibrant radio hosts, intriguing television personalities, and the brilliant minds behind TV and radio stations in our broadcast community. Today, I am super excited to be here with Miss Nichole Cyprian, who is the director of the Roy Howard Community Journalism Center, and Miss Whitney Argenbright, who is the managing editor. We are going to have an insightful conversation about the power of local journalism and the stories that shape our communities. Nichole and Whitney share how the center supports strong ethical reporting, why community-focused journalism matters now more than ever, and how thoughtful storytelling can inform, connect, and empower people at the local level. We will also discuss the evolving media landscape, the responsibility that journalists carry, and what it takes to nurture trust between newsrooms and the communities they serve. We have so much to discuss in this episode. So whether you're passionate about journalism, storytelling, or community impact, this conversation should offer meaningful perspective and inspiration. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here.
Very excited. We're not used to being on this side of the microphone, so this is different for us. We're excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to have you here all the way from Hattiesburg this morning.
Yes. We didn't speed much.
Much.
No, but I mean it was a good trip. We're really excited to be here. It's strange to not be in the office with the students. They're finishing up their exams and we have a couple in there, but you know, we're used to being right there in the trenches with them. So it's weird not to, you know, have students running in and out of the room and asking questions and, you know, bringing in equipment.
You really are in the trenches with them because you really don't have any privacy at all. You have students everywhere in that building.
It is. It's fun. It's really like being in a newsroom again, in a broadcast TV newsroom. There's a lot of activity, there's a lot of talking, and then when everyone's really working and it's really crunch time, it's silence. You don't hear anything except for typing keyboards and things writing against, you know, paper. But it's really fun. But yes, there's not a bit of privacy.
No, and it's really kind of like that with all three, because we have three locations, right? We have one at Mississippi Public Broadcasting up here in Jackson. We've got our Gulf Park campus, and, you know, we're building out the students in the groups that are down there. But all three campuses are just bustling. And it's great, though, because it gives us an opportunity to really expand our reach and really teach more students how to do what they're learning in the classroom and really apply that hands-on in the real world.
I absolutely love what you all do. So tell the people that are listening, because probably majority of the people that are listening have no idea what the Roy Howard Community Journalism Center is and how it came about.
Yeah, so it all started through a $3 million grant that came from the Scripps Howard Foundation. The interesting thing is that Scripps television stations, which are all over the country, they don't actually have a TV station in Mississippi. So this was an effort on behalf of the foundation really to identify areas that they considered news deserts. Maybe where there was a community newspaper at one point in time, or there were TV stations, and because of, you know, issues with resources or maybe staffing or whatever the case may be, those communities don't have regular sources of news for those who live there and who work there. And so there was a application process and a very, very involved, trying to think of the word, like competition, if you will, amongst universities around the state. I know LSU was involved, Ole Miss was involved. I want to say there was a university in New Mexico that was involved. And Southern Miss, with the direction of Dr. Ed Simpson, who is the one who wrote the grant for the Community Journalism Center, Southern Miss won, which to the top.
Yes, I was so excited.
Yes.
It seemed like the forever long process while it was going on. It seemed forever.
I was told it was like 2 years.
Okay, we made the top 3, and then it was like, okay, they're coming for that last visit, and then it took like, I mean, it seems like it was months before we found out
It
for
was so much
certain.
stress for Ed, and bless him because he was the driving force behind the grant. Like, it was his vision, and he was able to kind of put pen to paper to get that vision to come to life. But then it's like, okay, so I have the vision. How do I sell the vision and have them look at Southern Miss like a true challenger in a competition like this? But I mean, he's put a lot of work into it, and he'll tell you, just like he's told us, like, this was like years in the making. It took us so long to get here. And, so being able, I think from his perspective, to see all of the effort and work that he put in the front side, to see that come to life has been really cool.
Absolutely. And he'll tell you, the thing that took USM over the edge was the students. You
And
know,
the community, the media partners.
absolutely. Like having the opportunity for the foundation to meet you all, everyone who's in the media here in Mississippi who supported the project, having them have an opportunity to meet the students and be able to just see the work that the university has done and was doing really sold them on, yes, Southern Miss could take this center and be able to take it to a level that we hadn't even dreamed of. So we officially launched in January of 2025. I actually started in August of 25 and Whitney started in September. So we didn't have a very
Well,
long
24.
time.
We were 24.
Well, 24,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
true. So we didn't have a very long time to be able to get things lifted off the ground. We
It was
came
a sprint.
we came in running, which was fun for both of us because it was a newsroom that we were building from the bottom up. And how many times do you, in your career, do you have an opportunity to be able to, take something that you've been doing for years, for decades, and say, if I'm going to do this in a different way and make this into a successful newsroom, how would I do it? With, I'm not going to say unlimited resources, but obviously $3 million can go a long way. So what can we do to be innovative, to make things different, to really spark a fire in these students to make them love journalism? And I think that we have learned a lot of lessons along the way. There
Good
have
and
been some
bad, good and bad.
challenges.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There have been some challenges, but overall, I mean, it has been a tremendous experience. I think the students would agree that they have learned a lot. We have learned a lot. We have gotten to know our media partners so well and gotten a better idea of what their needs are, as well as just getting to know people in these different communities and what they feel has been missing in their news coverage for not just recently, but for years, and what they're really looking for to feel like they are knowledgeable about what's happening where they live.
And what's really interesting about what we're able to do too is you hear people all the time like, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, let's just get what we need to get done today. Well, it really gave us an opportunity to reinvent the wheel. And so one of the things that we had a lot of conversations about was, okay, so we can reinvent the wheel now, but like, what do we want that influence to look like? Because I'm not an expert. Nicole's not an expert. Ed's not an expert. So what voices can we incorporate? And Nichole, you just touched on this point too, but every semester we sit down with the students and we sit down with people in the community and, we go out on media tours like what we've been doing with you to get that input from all of the people who are involved with it. So the students are driving how that journalism is being told. The community members are driving like, hey, in Poplarville, we have been fighting for 4 years to get a post office. It's been 4 years and I still can't get a post office. Like, why is it so difficult? And so we're able to really dive deep into those stories. And granted, Poplarville's got a couple of thousand people that live there. More people use that post office, like what, 15, 17,000 people probably use that post office. It serves that many people. But because it's a smaller town, it's often overlooked. And so being able to incorporate the voices and amplify what those residents are saying and what actually matters to them has been really cool.
Well, I
Absolutely.
think you two are a dynamic duo, and I know that Ed has to be so proud to see his vision just taking shape and to see where you both have taken it. It is amazing what all you have done.
Well,
I
thank
mean,
you.
thinking about from the time that you got here and looking at, okay, these are their goals that they're going to have done by this date. And it's like, okay, they are like super women. seriously, to
Oh, I
get
love
all this
that.
done.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like put that on the back of my car or something.
I'm
I
a
love
superwoman.
that.
And bumper stickers. We need bumper stickers.
Absolutely.
You know, bless that. He's been so patient to deal with us because we are both very hard headed. Nichole tells me all the time, like, that's the Taurus in you that's coming out. And, you know, so being able to go into an academic setting from a newsroom, from being news directors, and be like, okay, we have to slow down a little bit because they're not operating at the same pace that you have to operate in when you're on deadline and you have a day turn that you're knocking out. You know, so being able to get them on board with us speeding up and then us learning, oh, we have to slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
We're not hiring professionals in the newsroom to come in. Like, these are students, like, they're learning in the classroom those theories, and we're just giving them the opportunity to apply those theories into real world situations. And so having to kind of slow down but run at the same time has been
Yeah.
interesting.
We've had to provide a different kind of structure, you know, and this is not a knock to university settings or anything like that, because, you know, the way that the classrooms are set up for students to learn these methods and learn how to do these things, it's built so that they are able to grasp the concepts and be able to understand the theories and all of that. For us, we knew that it was going to have to be an environment where they were going to have to be able to put this into practice. And they were going to have to put it into practice in the same way that they were going to see it in a professional setting. So when it comes to creating content, you don't have a week in a newsroom to be able to write your story or get your story posted on the web or to be able to go and shoot and edit. You've got hours. How can we mimic that in a classroom setting? And so we had to be very thoughtful about how we
Very
would make that work.
intentional.
Very intentional. And there was some pushing and shoving that we kind of had to do to have everyone understand that no, we're not approaching this the same way that you would typically approach this in a classroom. It has to be more urgent. It has to be more structured, and there has to be you know, some sternness. There has to be an environment where these students understand that there are no excuses. There's no coddling. You're coming in and we're treating you like employees. You have interviews. You have to do a writing test. We're holding you accountable the same way that your boss would hold you accountable, the same way a manager would hold you accountable. You have to hit these deadlines. Yes, you can be fired. That can happen, but it would happen when you walk out the door and walk into your first position. So it's not only teaching them about the what they'll face in a newsroom, but just what they'll face as professionals in the working world as well.
What's interesting too about that is one of the things that we were cautioned about going into it and kind of treating them like true employees. Because, I mean, they get paid pretty well. I think we're like the second highest paid position that they can get on campus. So everybody wants to work for us because we pay them well. But one of the things that we were always cautioned about was like, don't push them too hard. Don't be too mean. Don't be too assertive. You know, they're college students. They're nervous. They're anxious. They have blossomed with that. Like, they want the accountability. They want the structure. They want to be pushed. One of the students, and I won't name her because I don't want to call her out too much, but one of the students told me, she said, you know, I came in here thinking this was going to be a lot like the projects that I was doing in class. I just needed something to put on my portfolio. And I said, well, yeah, you can put this work on your portfolio. It's professional work. It goes out to about 170 different people who are on our server who can access that content. So it's great stuff to put on your portfolio. Great work examples and reels. And we talked about that. She said, well, I just never thought that I'd actually have the quality of work to put. Like, this is something that aired on WDAM. This is something that aired on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Like, my neighbors who, you know, live next door to my parents, they saw my story and they sent me a message. Hey, that was such a good story you did. It was so impactful. Also, did you know about this? She's like, it's generating story ideas. It's doing this. She's like, I don't even want to finish school anymore. I just want to go get a job so I can do this for real. I was like, no, we're going to finish school. The whole point of you being here is to go to school and get a degree. But I think just seeing that impact and seeing how they are able to apply it and see the benefit of it without us having to preach a benefit to them has been really, really interesting.
Very rewarding.
Yeah,
Very
very
rewarding.
rewarding.
Well, you're definitely grooming them. And I know that our stations, if I was them, I would definitely be wanting your students to be working for my station for sure.
That's what we want to prepare them for. We want to build relationships with the stations, and print organizations and digital organizations to where they can reach out to us and say, here's the specific position that I'm looking for. Do you have someone that can fit into this? Or do you have someone that, has the foundation that we're looking for and we can train them on the rest? And I think we're getting to that point in just these past 3 semesters.
Mhm.
To where we would be able to say, yes, we know a student who would be great to work with you. As it is, we've had at least 2 students who have worked with the center, who are now working at a TV station in Hattiesburg.
In local newsrooms. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's part of the mission. That's what we're trying to do. Not only are we trying to teach them quality journalism and what connection looks like and authenticity. Listen to me.
authenticity.
Yeah. Bless me. They're going to think I can't talk. But not only are we trying to teach those things, but then also we're trying to teach like why journalism is about sharing information and not pushing an agenda, but then being able to make them, not make them, but encourage them to go into these local newsrooms in Mississippi. Like, we don't have enough quality, high powered journalists to tell the stories for the communities that we have. And it's not a unique thing. We're in a news desert. And, maybe people don't understand what that means, but we as consumers, you can see that there is a desert there because there's not enough people telling stories that matter about the communities that we live in. And so being able to kind of apply that and add that value to the places that we're touching, I think is really impactful, but also it's giving the students an opportunity to do that in real world experience.
And for some of them, they're doing it in their hometown, or
Mhm.
they're doing it in, a place where they're very familiar. So that's another benefit because they do feel like they are actually making a difference in the communities where they're from. I'm thinking of one student in particular, who was doing a lot of freelance work with one of the local papers. And she had a moment where she got very emotional about the fact that, I am doing work that I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing it in a place where my parents still live. I'm doing it in a place where, I went to high school here. And she just had kind of like an emotional moment. And it's like, this is why we do this. This is why we do this. And if we can, just have 2 or 3 students who come out of this experience and go into newsrooms and can really deliver good and powerful news in these communities that's informative, that's done ethically, that is really serving a purpose, then the center has gone above and beyond what we ever thought it could do.
So, Nichole, you just mentioned the word ethically.
Yes.
That kind of made me think about part of the purpose is thinking about like, is this really news? Is this true? Is this factual, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, media literacy is a huge component of what the Roy Howard Community Journalism Center does. Beyond just making sure our students understand code of ethics and understand, what you see on social media doesn't mean that it's true just because it's on social media, how to verify facts, how to research information. We also have an initiative that we call What is True, and that's 2-part. So on one hand, it is a fact-checking service. So if there is something that someone in the community sees, whether it be on social media, maybe an email, maybe they saw it on television, maybe they heard it from a friend, got a text message, they can reach out to our fact-checking service, which is composed of 1 undergraduate student and 4 graduate students, and just tell us like, hey, I saw this on X, Y, and Z. Is this true? Is this information I can trust? And within 24 to 48 hours, our fact checking team will investigate that claim and reach back out to that person and let them know, here's what we were able to find. Yes, this is trustworthy information. Here's how we went about finding it. Or no, this is misleading. And here's what you need to know. Or you know what? That was unsubstantiated. We can't find anything to confirm or deny it. But here's the process that we went through to do it. We publish these fact checks on our website, rhcjcnews.com. And so we want not only the person who reached out to us to be informed, but anyone who might see that and didn't know whether or not that was true to be informed. Case in point, There was one particular fact check, and people might be kind of familiar with this, where there was the rumor about TJ Maxx
I
shutting
knew that was
down
going to be
in
your
September.
example. I just knew it.
It boggles the mind how many people believe that. But when you looked on social media, and there was supposed to be this,
Everyone was freaking out.
it was supposed to be like a
I mean,
news
everybody
release
likes
that
TJ
came out.
Maxx, but I
Yeah,
mean,
people were losing
oh,
their
it was
mind.
bad.
Understandably, because I am a shopper and I do enjoy TJ Maxx. But the information that was coming out on social media that was supposedly from their corporate headquarters, there were misspellings in it. There were things that just a professional PR person would not have put in there. If you are media literate, you could see that immediately. But a lot of people aren't. And so the rumors started spreading, and someone reached out to us like, I don't really know to trust it. This is their logo. So why wouldn't it be true?
Because a lot of times, like misinformation, it looks real. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they're doing it to mislead you, to get you to do something or have some sort of emotional reaction. We talk a lot about that in the training too, but it's getting people to kind of take a step back and say, hey, I'm at least paying attention to the fact that this may be misleading on purpose. Like, is it trying to make me feel something? Is it trying to make me think one way or the other? Is it trying to sway me on like a political belief or something like that?
And that goes, Whitney just mentioned it, to the second part of our initiative, which is our certification and training. So it's called Ask Me What Is True. And we will I want to mention Amy, who's our community engagement specialist, Amy Posey. She leads our team of What Is True investigators, and she also leads the initiative for Ask Me What Is True. We will go to schools, churches, civic organizations. We spoke with the Mississippi Library Association a few months ago at their annual convention, to be able to coach and talk to people about misinformation, disinformation, how they can recognize the difference, but then also how to have conversations with those amongst your family and your friends and things who might not see things the same way that you do. How do you have those conversations respectfully? And how do you know when to engage with that and when to disengage with that? Because I think that's a big part of the conversation of media literacy too, is that there's the truth, what everyone thinks is the truth because it's their truth, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a fact. A fact is verifiable. So you have these two things that are kind of combating each other in today's society, and everyone has their truth. So how do you have that respectful conversation, bringing in verifiable facts to make your point while also preserving that relationship with that person? Because it can be difficult. And so that's what our training is about. We have two different versions. We have an hour-long training where, we come in and we give everyone kind of the basic facts. And then they are prepared to be able to go and have those conversations and understand the differences. And then we have a more in-depth training that leads to a certified process. That one's about 2 to 2.5 hours. Dr. Simpson is the one who actually oversees that training course. And that allows you to be able to go out and train others. So if you're part of a group or an organization and you want to be able to do this training on your own with that organization, you would need to be certified through us. And then we would provide you the materials and the tools to be able to do that training on behalf of the center.
Is there a cost for that?
No, this is all free.
And you don't have to be in the business. You don't have to be a media professional in order to do that. So like, the Fix with the Library Association, we can train them. And that way, if they wanted to host events and stuff at their libraries, or so you have a history teacher, who wants to offer that as like an elective or something with the school, or even to like, train athletes or something like that, like they would all be able to do, like you don't have to have qualifications in order to do the certification program.
We actually just met with the South Regional libraries in Prentice, literally yesterday on Tuesday. We met with them just to be able to do a staff training for them. It was about 10 or 11 people in the room. And, being librarians, they are obviously very, familiar with misinformation and disinformation. So that
And
particular
literacy as a
training,
whole.
yeah, and
Yeah.
literacy as a whole. So that particular training focused more on how they can engage with those who are coming into the library about misinformation and disinformation, and how to have those conversations, and what the libraries can do to be on the forefront of this issue, because it is an issue. And it's a scary issue, because more and more between AI and what's on social media, and just the different opinions that people have about politics or religion or all of the things, misinformation and disinformation runs rampant. So there has to be an entity or a group of people or just someone to be able to say, well, let's think about this for a little bit. Let's think about where this information came from. Let's think about if these were actual facts, or is this just what you feel is your truth? Because those are different.
If someone's listening to this and they were interested in having you come do a training, how would they reach out to you?
On our website, I mean, first of all, you can always email me, or if you have
Call
my
the
number,
center.
call the center.
We have a What is True hotline.
Yes, we do. You can always go to our website, rhcjcnews.com. We have all the information on how to contact us, but we also have an online form that you can use that comes directly to us. You can also email us at rhcjcnews@usm.edu. Let me say it again because I almost got it wrong. rhcjcnews@usm.edu. You can email us, and we will, get everything set up. It's free. We bring all the materials. We bring all the information. The only thing that you have to do is be there.
What I was thinking about the hotline. What is the most interesting thing that you've heard on the hotline?
We actually haven't had a ton of interaction on the hotline, but we have discovered that in the world of everyone having a smartphone, a lot of people don't actually like to call. But we're setting up a texting line with it that we're hoping to have rolled out by the end of the spring semester, to where they can text it to us as well. But to answer your question, they had heard about the center when we were over in New Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
And she came up to one of our reporters and she was like, "Are you a reporter?" And he was like, "Yes, ma'am." He was thinking, "Oh, this lady's gonna, this is gonna be a chaotic conversation." She was like, "They told me they won't deliver." I keep talking about mail stuff today, but they told me they won't deliver mail to my house. They won't put mail in my mailbox. And so they were requiring me to have a post office box. And this lady was older. But anyway, we ended up investigating and figured all that out. And that What is True claim is posted on the website if anyone's interested in diving deep into that. But so not a call, but are you a journalist? I've heard of the Roy Howard Center because you guys have been over in Perry County and telling stories and stuff like that. I want you to look into why I can't get my mail delivered to my house. And that was actually a pretty interesting one too.
That was.
I don't remember all the details, so I don't want to spread any misinformation with it. But yeah, so being able to do that and then being able to, we've even pivoted some of our What is True investigations into full stories as well. Of, hey, like there's so much information here. We want to do, something on broadcast and something on radio and something on the website with it. So we did more full packages on that kind of stuff to be able to help stop the mis and disinformation that was going on with them.
Chick-fil-A milkshakes was my favorite. So chemicals in the Chick-fil-A milkshakes, which obviously is not true.
Yeah.
There's misleading information about that. And that whole investigation, that fact check is also on our website. But that was probably the one that I was like, where the heck did that come from?
The mothball one about like you can't put mothballs outside of your house or whatever to like prevent snakes.
That was an interesting
That was
one,
really
too.
interesting because I just moving back. I'm from Mississippi. I moved back to Mississippi to be able to help do this center. But our little house is next to a creek, and I'm not a fan of snakes. And we found a little snake that was like 6 inches long right outside the front door. And so I was calling my uncle, like, what do I do with the snakes? Put the mothballs out. Well, I said something to Amy's predecessor. And I was like, Josh, can we put mothballs out? I have to get some mothballs. Where do I get mothballs from? Well, that started that whole story about you can't actually put mothballs out. Was it because they're endangered or something? I don't remember the details.
Because this was a couple of months ago. So again, I don't want to spread misinformation. That's a tease for rhcjcnews.com.
Anyway, I didn't put the mothballs out, so environmentalists don't come get me. The snakes are fine. So they're living their best life out in the creek.
I always heard to put mothballs out.
We'll have to look that up at lunch today.
I know.
We're going to have to figure out what the truth is there.
we are definitely going to do that. So basically, your students come up with their story ideas. They provide the information, and they provide it for free to newspapers, to TV stations, to whoever might need it, right?
We have a very similar process to how newsrooms have editorial meetings. So typically in a newsroom, and I can speak specifically on television just because that was the industry that I was in. But TV newsrooms, you have an editorial meeting every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on how big the newsroom is or what the circumstance is, where you're pitching your story ideas, your producers are in there, your managers are in there, the reporters are in there, and there's a big conversation about what the news of the day looks like. Given that we have students who have classes and other things going on, we don't have the ability to do it every day, but we do have editorial meetings every Friday, which I don't know if the students love because they typically don't have classes on Friday. So they have to be up at the center by 8 a.m. for our 9 a.m. meeting. They submit story pitches every week. If they're reporters, they submit 2 story pitches a week. Those story pitches are due Thursday at noon. And they have it down to a science because we make sure that they know Thursdays at noon if we don't see your story pitch.
It. She can just walk in and be like, when are story pitches due? Thursday at noon.
As long as they know.
Everyone says it. It's great.
As long as they know. But, we give them the guidelines. We want them to have a slug for their story pitch, and it needs to have a subject, a verb,
An object.
and an object. They have to give us the what the pitch actually is, and we tell them to do it in a way that is not going to be 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. We need it to be,
3 to 5 sentences.
3 to 5 sentences.
If you can't tell me what the point is in 3 to 5 sentences, you don't have a story. You have to refine that. Like, what is something intentionally? Because think about it, when you're watching something on TV, maybe you see a story, maybe it's a news story, maybe it's not a news story. You're gonna have one takeaway. One main takeaway that you're like, oh, I liked Bridgerton because of the newer music, but the classical dresses, right? There's one takeaway that you're walking away with. And sometimes it's a little bit more expansive for when it's longer. But for like a broadcast story, it's minute 15? You have one opportunity, one thing that you want them to learn from that story. What is your main point? And that's what your slug is. That's what your story pitch is. And all of the rest of it is, how are you going to verify that? So we talk a lot about primary and secondary sources. And, and our media partners will probably love this, but if they send me a link and it's, WLOX has already done that story, why are you sending me that link? I don't need something that they have already done because we're sending them your content to help fill, their newscast and help expand their reach. So we're not just mimicking the content that's already out there for you to see, Jackson, WAPT, station up here, they covered something with the governor. Okay, that's great. How do you apply that and make it relevant to Southeast Mississippi? So there's an added challenge in there, but the end goal is to make them better journalists in the long run, to think outside of the box of it's not just what you're seeing that everybody else is doing, but it's something unique that you can bring to the table.
And they also have beats. So, we have a 10-county coverage area in Southeast Mississippi, but then we also, with our Jackson Bureau, can cover statewide news as well, where they're speaking mostly to, maybe lawmakers, legislators, if they're up here, or, different agencies and the leaders of those agencies. So some of them are on statewide beats. Some of them are covering Perry County. Some of them are covering Stone County. And so we expect them to build relationships in those areas. We expect you to know who the mayors are, who the county leaders are. Do you know some of the business leaders down there? Because if we need a story from down there and you are the one who covers Stone County, guess who we're turning to? Boom, you. So you need to be aware of who's in this county and what news is happening there. We're getting there. It's definitely not easy for them to figure this out, but then it's also not easy in the newsrooms when new reporters come in to be able to figure it out. So if we can get them to figure it out now while they're in the college environment, by the time they walk into a newsroom, having a beat and being able to find these stories and figure out like what's newsworthy and what's valuable and what's the point of the story is going to be a breeze. And that takes away half of the work that some of these newsrooms have to do to get their employees ready.
I think it's amazing what all you teach them. So, last question. Tell me what it looks like. What is a day in your life like? Is it crazy?
So Mine is definitely a lot different than probably everyone else at the center. Half the time I'm pacing the front porch of College Hall at USM on the phone, calling sources and beats to verify. Because it's not just students telling information, right? We have a very not expensive, but expansive editorial process that we go through to make sure the stories and the headlines, everything that's going out, they're being looked at by a professional journalist, whether it's Nichole or myself or Amy, and we have 3 full-time reporters, which we are hiring for one of those positions if anyone's interested.
Just throwing that out there.
It's for our statewide one up here in Jackson, but I say all that to say, it's not just students doing stuff. Like, we're editorializing, going through this process and the fact checks and everything to make sure everything's verified. But yeah, day in the life is kind of chaotic because a lot of times I'll get there, and whether I'm going out with student groups to teach them like hands-on camera training, or working with our podcast host on like, hey, this sounds good, this doesn't, this is audio levels and lighting and all that kind of stuff as well. Or if it's working with our web developers on how to build our website, because our students have done all of that. We're not really outsourcing everything, whether they're computer science students building out an app for us, or working on the media literacy campaigns, or even our marketing materials, because we have strategic communication students that do that for us too. And then the reporting teams and going through all of that as well. So I kind of bounce around. I don't think I really sit down for more than like 20 minutes at a time.
Never at her desk.
But it's been great, And then Amy, she's rocking and rolling since she's joined us. She's out in the community a lot too. A lot of the stuff that she's doing is very much on the engagement side of getting community partner buy-in and hosting community events and the media literacy and just different things that we can do to not only promote the center but promote the students and then promote other media outlets that we're working with as well. And then Nichole, I'll let you take yours because yours is chaotic too.
I mean, I have a lot of the administrative thing. So I work
very closely. She has to do all the paperwork for us.
Yes, I do. So I work really closely with our administrative lead, Cassie, to be able to do some of the paperwork and make sure, yes, we're going to be doing this and we're actually able to do this because we've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, along with budgeting, reports. I know the fun stuff, right? In communication with our funders, often just so that they're aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then also keeping Dr. Simpson and the school in the loop about things. But then also there's some fun things. So, a lot of the strategic planning about, what does the future look like? Key performance indicators, those kind of big words that, it's like, that doesn't sound fun. But at the same time, it's how do we take what we're doing right now and take it to the next level? What does this look like in 6 months? What does it look like in a year? What does it look like in 5 years? Are we on the right road to be able to get to where we want to be? And do we have the money to be able to do that? Is there new equipment or is there new, software or something that we need that could make what we're doing easier, but then also beneficial for the students, for our staff, for the center? So that takes up a lot of my day. Some days are more busy than others. But I would say that we have really had a really great first year. The funders have been very happy with where things are going, which makes us very happy as well. Shout out to Mike Cannon for all of his guidance. And I think that's very important, is that we have such a great support system from the foundation, from the family that also is funding us, and from the attorneys who also give us guidance with that. We have just such a great support system who see what we're doing and really allow us to be able to take the control to be able to do it. Also, we've had a lot of help from the Howard Center at Arizona State, as well as the Howard Center at the University of Maryland. They've been doing this for a lot longer than we have. They are more, Arizona State is more focused on investigative journalism, whereas University of Maryland is focused on investigative journalism, but it's data. So it's investigative data journalism. Probably said that backwards, but everyone knows what I mean. And so, a lot of the work that they do is being shared and being done in what's the word I'm looking for?
Conjunction.
That's one. That'll work. With like the Associated Press, with ProPublica. They're doing amazing work. It just looks different than what we're doing. So some of the things that they do, we're like, oh, can you help us with that? Like for our Southeast Mississippi Planner, the University of Maryland, because they are so data driven, we have really been working with them to try to figure out, are there tools that are in their toolkit that can help us be able to manage that system a little bit better. For Arizona State, we have really relied on them when it comes to open records request and trying to figure out, how that process, because Mississippi's process is a little different. So how that would work for us in being able to get certain records that we need. We couldn't be where we are if we didn't have their support and we didn't have them to be able to lean on.
I mean, it's like raising kids. It takes a village. And I know everything sounds like we're very serious, and we are, and we take what we do very seriously. And there's a reason why, Nichole and I were both Southern Miss graduates. So like there's a reason why we wanted to come back and build this program out, especially at Southern. We probably would have done it anywhere because this was like my dream job.
Yeah.
So it was a super easy yes for me to say whenever, we're talking about the job and stuff like that. But we're also, and I would say this is probably at the forefront of really what we're trying to teach the students. Like, if you are good at storytelling, like, let us help you get good at storytelling. Because if you like to be busy, if you like to have a wild and a creative and a fulfilling life and a fulfilling career, like, journalism can be that for you. Like, it's not boring. And if it is boring, you're probably doing it wrong. But, so we try to teach them, get the skill set down, and then you can have fun doing it. You can tell serious stories, but find the joy in it. Find what brings you joy and brings you purpose in life, and figure out a way to make money doing that. Whether it's being a videographer or a digital producer or a writer or anything, find the purpose and then find a way to make money doing it.
Amen. Amen.
I think those are some great words to end on. I think you two ladies are awesome. And it's just such an honor to serve on your board and to be able to, I feel like I'm a very small part of what you're doing. And just
But a big
thank you,
part.
thank you, thank you.
Yes, a
big
very
part.
big part. And we appreciate you
y'all.
even taking the time to let us come and brag on the center a little bit and brag on the students and just be able to spend some time with you. And really, to honestly, it's all about connection. We talk about connection all the time, but it's all about connection.
And we appreciate, the doors that you've opened for us because, again, starting from scratch and really not knowing, okay, how do we really get going? And just having a board that's been like, yeah, come and talk to my members, or, hey, come and, talk with my staff, or
invaluable support.
Yeah. Just little things like, hey, I'll put your job posting on our website. Like, those things go a mile. So we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate y'all so much. And thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.